Greetings.
Hello.
My greetings. Well met. Greetings, traveler.
Greetings, friend.
The pleasure is mine.
The iOS update went live literally while we were starting the intro, so I'm going to update the news. Also, Rami is a savage, big fan. Let's see here. Yeah, iOS is out apparently. Is Amazon App Store out? Let me see. No Amazon App Store, but iOS is out. Android is out. That's all. That's what really matters. All right. Let's see. Hello and welcome to episode 275 of Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday, January 21st in the evening, also known as Darkmoon Races Day, because that's a thing that got announced and then happened. Joining us from Gadsden, New York, it's me, Ridiculous Hat, from Carrie, California. We've got Bodikus.
I am definitely awake and ready to record a podcast.
Yes, that's definitely trustworthy. And from Undershady, Pennsylvania, it's Edelweiss.
Hey everyone.
And from where you are a listener, from the racetrack, we've got you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are directly supported by you, the listener. If you'd like to find out how you can support us and receive rewards in return, head to patreon.com/coinconcede. You can also support us by leaving an iTunes review. Totally free and really helps other people find the show. And we've got 2 new patrons. Kresh is our new producer. Thank you, Kresh. Welcome. Been supporting us for a long time. Thank you for kicking up to the next year. And Jonathan Vigil from The Angry Chicken and the band The Ghost Inside and Vigil SC on Twitch is our new is a new patron. So Jonathan, thank you so much for subscribing and being rad. And yeah, so since the last time we had a show, they announced the mini set and released it. So how's life and ladder? Bodikus.
So we're going with me first.
Going with you first. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
All right. So, in addition to things that have happened since our show last week, a new Path of Exile expansion and league was launched, and I was not super hyped about it at first, and then I started to play, and it's really good. I don't want to go into it like too much because we're a Hearthstone podcast, but I have been playing the crap out of it since it started, and really, really, really enjoying myself. And I'm just very happy with the decisions they made and the fact that they took an extra month to release it because of Cyberpunk, despite probably not needing to do that because of the very rocky Cyberpunk release. But they had an extra month to release it and had a really good launch. Been having a lot of fun with it, and which means I haven't had, unfortunately, a lot of time to do Hearthstone-related things. But the new set looks interesting. Bunch of cool cards. Interested to hear what my co-hosts have to say because they've had an opportunity to actually play with the cards. And yeah, just looking forward to getting into the show and talking about new stuff because new cards are sweet, and there's a lot of topics that we can talk about, not only in regards to the actual cards, but how we can go about getting them. So yeah, it's been a good week, but I'm very tired because I was trying to be responsible, and I was successful 2/3 of the time of the last 3 days where I had to go to work. But being unsuccessful one time at going to sleep at a reasonable hour still can mess with the rest of the times where you were responsible because yeah, staying up till 2:30, 3:30 to play Path of Exile and then going to work at 6:30 the next day is
oof. That's an oof.
Not the responsible thing to do.
Thank you, Zavaflay, for that sub. Yeah, I think that is. I'm not one to sleep shame anyone. I'm not one to say, hey, staying up till 3:30 is a dumb idea, because, like, I've been there, but I never had the 6:30 run back. That's not a thing that I usually did. It usually was, like, 3:30, and then I would wake up at, like, 8:30 to catch a 9 o'clock train. Still not great or healthy, and by Wednesday I was dragging, but the 2-hour turnaround, that'll do a number on you. That'll hurt a little bit.
Oh man, 3:30 to 8:30. That's like my every day, except it's just 12:30 or 1:30 to 6:30. The same thing, just shifted 2 hours, but it's okay. I'll catch up this weekend, I'm sure.
Yes, you definitely won't stay up way too late playing PoE. That's not the thing.
Well, the difference is then I just don't set an alarm and I sleep till I wake up, and it's great.
Baximus, thank you so much for that Prime sub. 2 months, appreciate it. Well, I hope you don't lose your damn mind. And also that you get some time to play Hearthstone, which is a fun game that we play sometimes. And I haven't played any BG, so I'm curious to see your perspective on it, because some of the new cards seem pretty cool. Yeah, there's a couple new heroes and a couple new cards. They took Floating Watcher out. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Edelweiss, what's up?
Well, yeah, new set. So I streamed today. That was a good time. It's a very fun set. Like, I don't know, even with as few cards as it is, I think it's been pretty impactful, and I can't wait to talk about the cards. It'll be so much fun. We got to get through the show so I can play even more with new cards and figure out some new decks. I played a lot of Mage today.
I will point out, I made a tweet about this, and I think it's important. I realized how excited I was going into today because the cards looked cool, but I had no idea. And then I remembered there's no theory crafting streams. There was no theory crafting stream, and they could have done one yesterday. They probably decided not to do one in such a short turnaround. Maybe the patch wasn't ready. Also, presidential inauguration, don't really want to counter program against that, because if luckily nothing happened, if something did happen, you wouldn't want to have to deal with that. So they dodged it, and I think it made today better, because I feel like there would be decks to net deck pretty quickly if there were theory crafting streams, and even if you hadn't watched some of the ones from earlier this year, like if you didn't watch the Scholomance one, you didn't have to watch it to experience Guardian Druid being figured out. Even if you completely blocked it out, if you went on ladder, you'd be like, oh, that deck seems good. And you look it up and realize Pheno created it during the theory crafting streams, then people just got an extra few hours head start in refining it and recognized its power.
Yeah.
That's not what happened this time. It feels like everyone is trying different things, and I've seen a good bit of variety on the ladder. Well, I've seen two things. I've seen variety and I've seen rogue. So, you know. But yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I don't know for sure how impactful this mini set is gonna be, but I know that it looks like and feels like it matters right now, and that's an exciting and fresh experience, at least for a little bit. Even if we end up just going back to the decks, at least because of the lack of theory crafting streams and because the cards seem to be pretty relevant, then we can try stuff, and it doesn't feel as tired as it did last week.
Yeah, and I expect that even if some of these things fade away and we kind of go towards similar but with an extra card lists as we had before, that it'll at least get us a sense of the power level of some of these cards and get us hyped for them, so that once we get that rotation and classic rework, etc., and we're down to a narrower set of cards, we already will have an idea of what from this set feels pretty strong and that we can work with. Because there's a whole lot of cool stuff I've been trying out, and so many different directions for all the classes. Again, we're in that 6-set meta. So I think plenty of these cards are going to have their time to shine, whether it's now or when we're narrowed down to 4 sets.
I guess we have a hype train in the chat. So what is
Sweet.
happening?
Okay. What? I don't understand.
All
what's
right,
happening,
so
but
huge
thank
thanks
you,
to
everyone.
Feet Smell Great and Sharif, and then Baximus just gifted 5 subs. Thank you so much, everyone. That's fantastic. I'm gonna write all these down. Baximus X5. Who did I miss? Oh, you're okay. What's up, Electabuzz? Yes, I'm gonna say that instead of your Twitch username for reasons. But thank you for the support. Yeah, and I've played a good bit today. Not as much as I would have liked because the patch came out today. But it seems like Rogue is good. Surprise! Yeah. But I didn't even play that much Rogue. I played a little bit. I net decked your Cyclone Mage deck. And
Wait, how?
I went on your stream and I copied the deck. You were streaming.
Oh, okay.
You see when you play Hearthstone, sometimes you display it for other people, and the deck is on the screen. I can just click that. What is happening, Proby1? Thank you so much for the 5 subs. I'm gonna have to chop up this entire intro and just cut out all of this. Thank you, Proby1. Wow. Wow. We'll be able to buy Bodicus a premium PoE membership with all this money.
Not quite. I've seen what those cost.
Yeah.
it's shocking. I was like, oh, this supporter pack looks good. Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a price tag. Yeah, we're I like this game. I don't like it that much.
Yeah.
PoE was free to play.
It is. Yes.
It is.
Spine,
Definitely.
thank you
It
so much
is,
for the
That's
prime.
the
But
joke.
then,
Yes.
but then, if you want to support them, you can do it in a variety of different price
Doge, what are
points.
you doing?
What is happening?
We're not even going to do a podcast. We're just going to be thanking people for 2 hours. Doge X10. Okay, this is going to be an extended coin concede thanks at the end. Wow. All right. Thank you
Wow.
so much, everyone. That's a lot of
This is
subs.
crazy.
It's a
Thanks, everybody, so
producer
much.
standoff.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Eventually, they'll actually just run out of people in chat.
Yes. I would love for that to be a problem. But yeah, so
Like,
I played some of your Cyclone Mage, and Mana Biscuit is filthy. That's a filthy card. Like it's insane. I did like Imprisoned Phoenix, the spell damage card. We'll talk about these cards specifically. I've tried some Pure Paladin. I hit people in the face with books. Craptasm. Thank you so much. I have to keep up with all this. I'm just going to keep it on the sub thanks tab. But the best deck for me was Theo's Secret Highlander Mage, which plays a bunch of the new cards. I got to corrupt Ring Toss multiple times today, and let me tell you, Ring Toss is really, really strong. The Ice Lancer, the 1-drop, the new 1-drop, really good. Really, really good. Played that with Frost Nova. What's happening?
Thank you all so much.
We're at 300% of a level 5 hype train. Spiffy, fantastic. Thank you so much. Should I just make the Twitch chat larger than the show notes at this point? It's Crush. I thought we were there already. Good lord. Yeah, this is unusual. We're 15 minutes into Life and Ladder, and I have not been able to keep a coherent train of thought, which is usually that's still a thing, but this time it's somebody else's fault. All right. Where was I? So yeah, so Theo's Highlander Mage, I'm 6-1 with it. I only lost to a Lifesteal OTK Demon Hunter, which is, that's a bad matchup. It's not a good matchup. And Illidari Studies, by the way, in that deck is
so broken.
bonkers because they actually want to play Philosophy.
Is insane. Yeah.
I tried it in a weird aggro list with Felsteel Executioner, and it was fine. But
Sure.
sometimes you don't hit the right things. But in Lifesteal DH, you only want card draw, consume magic, or Philosophy. And you're going to hit something. Like, there are very few cards that you don't actually want.
Yeah, I looked at it, and there's only 12 Outcast cards you can hit.
Yeah. The 4-drop minions
And
are pretty
so-
bad. Like, they're pretty not good.
Well, but sometimes in a pinch, if you're getting pressured down, you'll take the Rush minion the 5
Yeah.
free rush.
It's
And that's
fine.
a pretty good swing.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm not excited by it, but it's not the worst in the world. But there are a lot of cards that are really good, or you just play it and then you skull on 5, and I mean, skull on 5 is good. In addition, I have been playing a different game this week. It's called Nova Drift, and it's super good. It is a top-down shooter like Asteroids, except it's a roguelike. And
What?
there are upgrade progression paths. There are different like body types and shield types and weapon types and all the things. Just like they mesh together in different ways. It's addicting, and the art and sound design really captured me. Like it's very satisfying, and the explosions are really like big and explodey. So I've tried putting it down over the past few days, and I haven't been able to. And it's on the Humble store. It's $8. So I put the link in the show notes. Strongly recommended on PC. The developer is there's one person that makes the game. His name is Chimeric. It's just him. It's an early access, and it's basically like the first version of the game is done already, but now he's iterating it and making it into a much larger game with multiple game modes, and then porting it to the Switch later. So yeah, it's a really cool game, and I've put a lot of hours into it, so strongly recommend it. Also, I'm going to edit everything else out here. We just had a 35 subscriber train during Life and Ladder. It was very difficult to concentrate, but holy crap, y'all. The Twitch chat is not usually like this, but if you're listening to this in the audio feed, maybe check out the Twitch chat next time if you want to sub, because we're just giving them out here, I guess. That's what we do. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat that went crazy. So yeah. Hearthstone fun. We should talk about the news. Let's go.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
All right. So as we've already been talking about, the new patch is here. I believe that the last mobile patch just went out right when we started the show. So by the time most people hear this, well, by the time people hear this, it's going to be out everywhere. But we got a whole bunch of new stuff coming. I guess we can start with maybe what would be considered the smaller portion of the patch. The we could start with the Battlegrounds update, I guess. Got a couple.
Forgot there was one of those.
I legitimately had said that there was a Battlegrounds adjustment, and I didn't know what he was talking about. And so I just looked at these new heroes when the show started. But so we have a couple new ones. We have Ticketus, which is every 4 turns discover a Darkmoon prize. So if I understand this correctly, make sure I haven't missed something reading through this, but essentially this just means you get 2 Darkmoon prizes every 4 turns.
Yes.
Is that correct?
But next month with 19.6, the Darkmoon prizes are going away, but Ticketus is staying, so he'll become the only hero that gets Darkmoon prizes. This is basically taking the current prize mechanism. If you want to keep doing it, you have to take Ticketus, but nobody else is going to get the prizes going forward.
Right. Okay. It's pretty interesting. The Darkmoon prizes are powerful most of the time. However, sometimes some of them are more powerful than others. So this will be interesting. I'm very interested to see how good this hero is after the prizes leave. That'll be quite interesting. But
Yeah.
getting double prizes, especially some of them probably combine together really well, like discover a tier 1 minion and +1/+1 to your team. Seems like it could be very strong when you get it on the 4th turn. There's I could definitely see some potential with this hero. And then the other one is Greybow. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
And its hero power is give +1/+2 and taunt to minions you summon during combat, which is
How much? How many? Plus, you said +1, +2, or
And
plus
taunt.
1, +1?
+1, +2 in taunt.
Yeah,
That
it's
seems
pretty powerful early.
powerful.
It's good with Rat Pack.
Obviously, it's good with Rat Pack. It's good with the
Rep Menace.
3/1 mech.
Yeah.
It feels like you're pretty pushed towards certain tribes, but
It almost feels like it's kind of a. It's got almost a one-sided Deathwing effect. Obviously, not as powerful as
Mm.
Deathwing, but a lot of the cards that you would generally play with Deathwing, seem like it could be pretty powerful with something like this. Like even just the 1-star minion, the 2/2 with taunt with Reborn,
Yeah.
becomes significantly stronger. Same with
Bronze Warden didn't need any help, but it got better. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Bronze Warden. Yeah, actually, no, that's a lot better.
Yeah, that makes
think-
a 3/3 Divine Shield taunt when it comes back. Like that's pretty solid.
You know what else it does? You know what else it's very good with?
Khadgar.
Khadgar. Yeah,
Khadgar also.
as if it needed help.
I hope they delete it. Dean was talking about it in one of his threads about how they're thinking about taking out maybe one of the token makers, or taking out or changing how the animation time works, or maybe when you disconnect and reconnect from the client, that you go back to combat and not to recruit. Whatever the engineers can figure out. Khadgar is, I would call it somewhat unhealthy for the game overall, even though it's mostly seen at higher MMRs. But yeah, it's Greybow
And
is
difficult to. It's also difficult to like get into. I don't know. It's
hard.
I understand the point of view they're coming from, but it's also it takes a lot of skill to go into it. Like I was watching Asmodee stream either a day or two ago, and he was just talking about how he'll try to force a Khadgar comp because he's Asmodee is very high rated, and he forced like 2 Khadgar comps in a row and just never got double Khadgar or got golden Khadgar, and then never saw token maker. And so knowing when you're supposed to all in and when you're not is or sometimes sometimes it just falls short. So it's interesting. But so these won't be available until February 4th. But if you have the Battlegrounds perks, that's when they become available. So hopefully people who are mostly Battlegrounds players already have the perks, and they'll get to play with these, because definitely a lot of interesting use cases. Always like to see where they're going to go next with the heroes. But in addition, there are some little bit more support for demons, as well as a little bit of change to demons. So there's a new demon minion. It's a 3-star minion with a battle cry. Choose a friendly demon, remove it to gain its stats and 3 gold.
I think that card's pretty
the golden
good.
version. Yeah. It's interesting, right? You definitely, well, you would have to, the problem is you have to have another demon, right?
Kind
It's one
of.
of
It can
the-
recur and eat itself. Like if you have a brand, it grows double stats. And you get to kind of scale in the late game in a way that you
You get
normally
6
couldn't.
gold.
No, I don't think that you get the 6 gold, but it should double the stats. Because like you know how in constructed, when you eat something, then the battle cry for stats goes off twice.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that you get 6 gold. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure you don't, because that would be insane.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
But still, even if you get double stats, you just get to chain these. Like you get to buy one and then remove another one. Or like think about, you're on tier 5, your demons. You eat a Buttmaster. This thing becomes like 6 power and still has a bunch of health. Or if you have brand, like 9 power, and then you buy another one of these and eat the first one. You can keep scaling in a pretty meaningful way, in a way that demons can't normally do. And so like it's just a different way to do big demons that I think is a lot more interesting. This also reminds me a bit of Magnetic, because it's basically allowing the minion that you eat to stay on the board without using a board spot. just like Magnetic kind of does, is a minion that doesn't use a board slot. So this way you get to keep the stats. So I don't know. I think there might be something here. It seems like a pretty powerful card.
Yeah, I think at first glance I agree with that. And it's interesting that it's removed because obviously you don't want Death Rattle shenanigans that would be... You'd get some really weird board states if you could like eat the 3/3 that Death Rattles into a 1/1 and just have a random 1/1 on board. It'd actually be pretty sweet if you could do that, because then you could also eat the 1/1 later and just generate a whole bunch of extra gold for free. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting minion. And then in addition, they also have a new tier 4 demon, which is a 6/4 with taunt and death rattle summon 2 3/2 imps. I always find it interesting that demons has these minions that are like it has taunt, but also it summons additional minions. So if it's your only taunt minion, you're, unless you go first and have like a bumper minion, you're very likely to not get full value out of the death rattle.
Yeah.
Unlike a card like Rat Pack, where you can kind of position that to make sure it goes off later. This is forced to go off at a specific time. So
And this is, I think, the first like constructed card they've ported over in a while. Because this is a like it's a they printed this in Darkmoon Fair. So this is the Demon High Main. I don't know if they printed it specifically to put in BGs, but it's the first time that I can remember them printing a card for constructed in BGs at the same time. Because almost all the recent editions have been cards that are unique to BGs.
Yeah, and it's also interesting. It's replacing. It seems to somewhat be replacing Floating Watcher, which has been removed from the Battlegrounds pool, which I don't know how I feel about, because I really liked Floating Watcher. It was a card that I mean, it was a card that is a actual Hearthstone card, and I don't know, the idea of scaling at the cost of life is interesting. And obviously you still have Wrathweaver, but I don't know, I liked assembling that combo. So kind of sad, honestly sad to see Floating Watcher go. And I don't know that it was necessarily dominating the meta. There was a point in the game where Floating Watcher was the thing to be doing, but it's been a really long time since that was the de facto to go thing. So it's I wonder if they're actually removing it due to power level reasons, or removing it just to get Ring Matron in there because it's essentially part of the Darkmoon Fair. So
Yeah,
it's a interesting situation.
I wonder if they would just have too many big demons with Floating Watcher and Soul Collector, and Big Fernal. Just like you can have a lot of really, really big demons, and then once you get to eat the Floating Watcher with the Soul Collector after you get Mal'Ganis. I don't know if it'd be a power level thing, but it'd be pretty one note as far as strategies go. And it seems like they're definitely Ring Matron seems to be designed to make Soul Juggler demons worthwhile again, which is good because that was a fun strategy, and token demons have been just non-existent since elementals were printed, really.
Yeah, but like, I don't know that this doesn't really, like, it supports it in the sense that it it works with that comp, but the problem with that comp is everything scales so heavily now.
Yeah.
And they didn't really make any changes to how quickly things scale. And the problem with Soul Juggler is that, minions just scale way far out of range of being able to have the Soul Juggler be meaningful, and I don't think Ring Matron does anything to appreciably change that. So
Yeah, and this is only 2 heroes, 2 cards, so this definitely seems like a more minor adjustment. The cadence of BG patches, normally we would have gotten the BG major patch today with 19.4, but they're definitely aiming it towards 19.6, the next patch, which is going to be probably about 3-4 weeks. And so that's when we should expect the new larger changes to BGs that they do once an expansion, because that would be about the time of Elementals, be about 1 month before the release. So
I actually kind of like the Floating Watcher removal, just because it once we got the big Fernal, that was a nice sort of different way of doing the demons thing. And I think it lets you do demons without having to have the Wrathweaver. Like, as demons are with the Floating Watcher, you need to already be in it with the Wrathweaver to be able to start that scaling. And it's sort of like you pop off if you get, golden into a Floating Watcher or something. Otherwise, either it's just your Wrathweaver gets huge and maybe you miss on the Floating Watcher, or you didn't get the Wrathweavers earlier, you'd like to do demons, and there's just not really as much of a path because Floating Watcher is dependent on that Wrathweaver to really get big in size. Whereas the Big Fernal is just dependent on playing demons and having them summoned whenever. So it lets you be a little more flexible in terms of when you can get into demons, rather than you have to be doing them from the start.
Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Now that you say that, it's you don't want too many conditional cards that are conditional based on a singular card, whereas having the conditional cards like the new Soul Devourer, where you don't have to, but you kind of have in order to pick this card, you kind of have to have a demon on board to go with it. Yeah, you don't really want to have Floating Watcher in there when you're never picking that card unless you already have a Wrathweaver. So, yeah, that's I like that take. I guess I mean, the only other time you would ever take Floating Watcher is also when you were Lich Baziel and your hero power function, but
Sure.
it wasn't nearly as powerful as with Wrathweaver. So,
And you couldn't really
okay,
pair the two of them together all that well because your life would just
right,
get hit too hard.
right. So, anyway, that's going to be the Battlegrounds update. I'm looking forward to seeing how that all turns out. But we have some much bigger announcements that also came with this patch, including the mini set, which is named the Darkmoon Races. We have 35 unique cards, including 4 legendaries, one epic, 14 rares, and 16 common cards. Total of why does it say for a total of 66 new cards? I guess it's because
It's 32 times
yeah,
2 and
times
then 4
2.
legendaries.
Right.
So, because they said 35 cards and it's 35 unique cards, but it's if you
Right.
buy it, you get 66 actual cards added to your collection because a bunch of them are 2-ofs. Interestingly enough,
Which, by the way, you just said something
Oh,
which
yes.
we did not know at the time of recording last week. You can buy this. Not we're not talking. We're not talking. You can just buy packs to get it. No, you can literally buy the entire mini set. It's almost like you're just buying an adventure, except you just get the set, and um there's no quest line or whatever to unlock the cards. You just, as far as I know, you purchase the set for either $14.99 or 2,000 gold, and you just have all the cards. Or if that's not the route you want to go and you want to open packs, you could still just open packs to get the cards.
So,
I mean,
to note on the math, you should buy the set. You should buy it. It costs about 4 times as much in terms of packs to open 4 legendaries and all the other cards as it does to just buy the set. It is an incredible amount of dust for 2,000 gold. And the comparison I like to make here, we didn't know that it was going to be purchasable at all, it's awesome, and the feedback has been positive. It's about the same as Adventures, but the difference is, first, the price is lower. Galakrond's Awakening was $20 US or 700 gold per wing for a total of 2,800. And the important part, you didn't have a choice in how you got those cards. You either bought it or you didn't. This is an adventure, but cheaper, and make it craftable or make the cards openable. And that little change, combined with not having any single player card chores to get your cards, just made this experience much better. It's just the user, the player has choice, and there are a bunch of reasonable economic options to get there, or you can grind it out without spending a dime. But if you have the 2,000 gold or the $15, you should buy it. It is a much better deal than just opening packs.
and also of note, probably I mean, something I kind of just thought of, but I'm sure people have talked about, is the fact that you can open these in packs means you can open golden versions of the cards in packs. So you're not obligated, if you want a golden version of a card in the Darkmoon Races set, you're not obligated to spend only dust on it, and that's your only way to acquire it. You can actually just open packs and get golden versions of these cards, which is pretty neat for the people who are into goldens. This is like just a great compromise on all ends, I think, right?
Do you think they were planning this the whole time, or do you think this was a change based on the feedback of the last couple months?
Tough call, honestly.
I mean,
I
it's
could
one of
see it
those
either
things
way.
where if you do, like you said, if you do the math, it costs you about 6,000 gold to get the whole set. I would assume that they would have to know that, and that people wouldn't want to spend that much gold on just getting the new set. I mean,
But did they
I would
need the
hope.
feedback from the community around the release to make that decision, or was this their plan the whole time?
It's pretty even in my mind, like even odds of either way, because it's not like this is the first time that the cost of Hearthstone has come up, right?
It is
It's
not.
been
That is
something.
correct.
It's been something basically since we had Magic Arena and Legends of Runeterra that people have had stuff to compare to, and I think there's a very real possibility that they were already planning on doing the mini set this way, and it just is more notable because we've been talking about the economy for so long. But yeah, it could also have been that when they released the pass and there was such backlash, maybe they wanted to guarantee that mini sets would get people super hyped and get them on their side, and this was a way to do that. I honestly could go either way. Certainly, now that they've done it, they can't not do it because people are so happy with this style of release. And if you're going to be releasing 35 new cards in the middle of every set, this is a really great way of making it feel not as expensive, and it eliminates that problem we had been discussing before of people holding on to their packs because they wanted to save them for the mini set. And knowing that you'll be able to just get the set as soon as it drops with all the cards, but you can just open your packs and not feel bad, right? Because you don't need to save them for anything.
Yeah, I wish I would have known this a while ago. I could have not had that notification. But honestly, like, also just kind of getting golden version, like, you might just hold on to it because getting golden versions. It's not like not like I needed that dust. I just needed the notification to go away that I had packs to open. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's one of those things where I hope that this was always the plan, but it kind of doesn't matter because they did it. So regardless of whether this was the plan or not, like if this wasn't the plan and they listened to community feedback and they decided to do this, great. They're listening to community feedback and responding with things that we want. Or if this was already in their head, then they already had a good idea and they were going to implement it anyway, and it probably would have behooved them to tell us this, but because then we just never have that like we had a whole long conversation
Yeah.
when we knew that the set was being released about when there was all of the drama about the cost of the game.
It would have earned them
Right
back
when the
goodwill
set
immediately. Like, so I land exactly where you do of if this was in response, fantastic, thank you for listening, great work. If this was something they knew already, next time, I know it's not the team's MO to tell us early, but if this price point was disclosed when they explained the mini sets, then the world would have been a better place. Like it just would have been so much better for the devs, for the players, for the content creators. It would have indicated some kind of responsiveness. So I kind of have a middle ground there. They were planning on something like this, but it wasn't done yet. Like, not that they didn't plan on selling the whole thing, just that once again, I think the team was under pressure to do a lot of things in a short period of time, and they just hadn't nailed it down yet. So I'm hoping that they have more resources lined up to make things happen a little bit more smoothly, because this felt like something that they landed in the right place. And the only logical conclusion I can think of between they didn't tell us something that obviously would have made everybody happy, and they didn't necessarily change it to make us happy, is that they already were planning on doing this but hadn't finished the job. That's kind of the middle ground there, but glad where they landed. Also, what do you two think about the reveal schedule? Because they announced the set on Tuesday, and then said we will tweet cards on the hour every hour until the set's revealed. And they dumped them all in one day in staggered reveals. What did you think about that?
That was a lot. There's a lot of cards real fast, but I think it was fine. I missed the community reveals. I really like when I think, I mean, have we even, like, you brought up the not having the theory crafting streams. I'm glad that didn't happen, but I still want, people who create content and do a really good job and have been doing it for a long time to get the enjoyment of being at least given the opportunity to create, card reveals. So I kind of wish that was there, but it kind of feels to me like maybe this was a whole thing relating to the way the world is right now, and maybe they didn't have the resources to be able to set it up. And I hope that in the future that they'll be able to set that up, because I think I like that more. But I didn't hate this necessarily. I'm not saying that I was unhappy with the way they did it this time. It's just I like rewarding the content creators that help them make their game popular by giving them reveals. I think it means a lot. It means a lot to them when they get stuff like that. So to have the opportunity.
Yeah, it kind of spreads the hype around as well. It sort of, they can wield that as a tool to give some people exposure that might not have had as much, depending on who they give card reveals. Like, obviously some of them go to names we already know, but I think it can be really fun to go over to creators that I may not be as familiar with and see how they chose to reveal a card. I agree that it kind of felt like a side effect of the times, that how they ended up doing this. They couldn't get people in a studio to do even their own video reveal, because I had thought maybe there would just be one big live reveal stream, but I'm sure those take a lot of work. So it felt nice for me because I was streaming at the time, so I had some that were revealed that morning that I could talk about, and then as they came out each hour while I was streaming, I had more cards to kind of like, oh, it's been an hour, I can look over, there's 5 new cards, how good do these ones look? That was a nice experience, but it was kind of weird to sort of feel like, oh, the day is over, I know all the cards now, and now I wait a day. it was very strange for a reveal season.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely not used to it, right? It's a brand new thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of refreshing to have the combination of, like, here's a whole bunch of stuff and just the nonstop day-long party, but also, I don't know, we had a whole week where, and Thrallman in the chat said this best, if they just announced this last week and just did 5 cards a day, we didn't have to have the Twitter discussion about Autosquelch. We could just be talking about cards. We wouldn't have had to read Dean's tweets. Like, he gave us good content last week, but we could have just talked about cards.
Well, in the week before Dean's tweets, we didn't have anything either.
I like the idea of the shorter streams, the shorter reveal schedules, but they don't need to be this compressed, I don't think. And knowing when things are coming is also pretty important. So, I think it was generally positive. But, it's a new experience. They're learning from it.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would guess this was a logistics issue and not a we decided to do this like this. I feel like this is a we just don't have the time and resources to be able to put this together with the way the state of the world is right now. So I don't fault them too much for something like this.
It's still generally
I also could
positive.
be wrong, and maybe they decided to do this and test it out, and we'll see what they take away with this, and if they do it again like this.
Yeah.
I hope they never do a set release like this, though. That would, oh my god, I would just. Can you imagine the episode where we're just like, well,
they couldn't do that.
It's Tuesday. The set comes out on Thursday, and we have 130 cards to talk about.
The reveal for Darkmoon Races almost killed us, or Darkmoon Fair almost killed us. That was like full reveal, and then like 9 days, you got a boogie.
That was pretty breakneck cadence, but we're gonna have BlizzCon Line soon. Within a month, right?
In exactly a month, yeah.
I would totally not be surprised if a lot of the focus of their sort of production team is on getting stuff ready, getting nice videos ready for BlizzCon Line. And so they're like, you know what? We'll have our graphic designers whip up some nice looking stuff for posting to Twitter. That'll go much faster, and then save, the time of their production team to go towards making whatever they've got planned for BlizzCon Line really nice.
I'm really excited for BlizzCon Line. I know it won't be the same, but I'm very excited for it. We should definitely do like mini shows each day and just talk about what we saw. We should do that. We haven't talked about this before. Yeah, I'm just spitballing with the host live on air here. We should definitely do mini shows.
We'll see. I don't know. It totally depends how many days they draw it out over. And
it's 2. It's Friday and Saturday.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
It's 12 days. We have to do an episode each day for 12 days. No, it's 2 days. It's Friday and Saturday.
I don't know, man.
I'm just thinking
of 4 days when it's live.
Thinking of when it was with Boticus and we did the car recordings, and that was so fun. And this is like that, except
those were fun. Yeah, as a listener, those were fun.
Yeah, we'll do it. And someday there will be a BlizzCon again. All right, Boticus, you go now. Take this away from me because I keep taking it away from you.
No, you're good. So that's probably the biggest update here, but also for those of you who are really into duels, well, be prepared for another shakeup because the mid-season update has come, and they are adding 10 new heroes, 25 new signature treasures, 5 of which are dual class treasures, 4 new passive trees, 2 new active treasures on January 21st. All the ratings will be reset with the patch 19.4, and the new achievements will become available for you to complete. Apparently there is a dev comment saying that there is a known issue with the countdown timer at the bottom of duel start, which is incorrect. The rating reset will be with the 19.4 patch, which was today. So yeah, everything got reset, and holy cow, it's kind of crazy to think that with duels, I knew that there were more hero powers and I knew that there were more treasures, but there are just so many combinations of things you can play against. It's like they just added a whole bunch. They just added so many new things that you have to think about. It's like, man,
yeah. Each class,
it's just not not a format I even get to play, and I'm just like
overwhelmed.
My mind is overwhelmed with how much variety and different stuff is going on in there. I would love to hear from a person who plays duels pretty much explicitly, just if they enjoy that amount of complexity or if it's as overwhelming as it is to an outsider looking in.
At some point, we just have to have Enthrallment on the show because he plays like a lot of duels. And he also is our coach and is already in our Discord with the cast and crew all. So we just have to do that.
I do enjoy duels, but it's such a time commitment, particularly if you want to sit down and do a full run. So I do it much more bite-sized now. I am kind of doing a bad thing, which is I got Warrior with my latest duels, and I'm going to try out the new passive. Haven't done any games yet, but there's a passive hero power that's just if you have armor at the end of your turn, shuffle a bomb into the opponent's deck. It is, we'll see. We'll see. There's actually not as much armor gain as I would have thought, at least in terms of what you can put in your base deck. But it'll probably be good enough.
So the one that I want to try, which I'm hoping will make Bodikus do a duels run immediately after this show, is the new Shaman passive, You Can't Be Overloaded.
Oh, that looks sweet.
You Can't Be Overloaded is the passive hero power.
Can you get that and your spells cost 2 less but not less than 1 overload 1?
Should be able to.
Because that would be bananas.
And the one of the new Shaman treasures is 1 mana. After you play an overload card this turn, add an overload card to your hand. Combined with You Can't Be Overloaded. And it doesn't say that costs 1 or more, so go get your lightning blooms.
Oh dear.
Bodikus, you see why?
Wait a sec. Wait. No, that's I read the other one though. Battlecry, add 1 non-basic totem to your hand. It costs 2 less. Improves during the run. What?
Yeah, it scales.
Every game you play, it adds 1.
I
Yes,
assume
correct.
it's like wait, is it every game, not every 2? Because some of them seem like they would scale too much if it was every single.
I believe it is every single game. It's +1. I don't know for
'Cause
sure, but I'm
The
pretty
druid one that scales it just becomes ultimate infestation. Like the card is scaling ultimate infestation, and eventually you would draw like 10 or 11 cards. So that seems like something you don't actually want.
sure. So maybe it's every 2. I'm not sure exactly how it works. And Thrallman is saying in the chat that it looks like it's every 2. So that every 2 games.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That
Oof.
makes way more sense.
I was just thinking like, holy cow. But they have a Mario Kart reference. That's awesome. Rogue has a Mario Kart reference treasure. Which is
The
sweet.
green shell, yeah.
Green turtle shell.
Yep. Yeah,
It
they're
literally just hits the cart and they fly up
And
in
just-
the air back into their hand.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
So there are a lot of really cool things here, but You Can't Be Overloaded speaks to me in a very specific way. I want to play with that card. And Bodikus, I come on. You Can't Be Overloaded. That's some good text. So yeah,
Now you just have hey, they gave Shaman Innervate. Unnerfed Innervate.
they sure did.
They finally gave Shaman Unnerfed Innervate.
All right. We're an hour in and we're through the second bullet point in news.
Oh no.
Perfect. All right. Arena rotation is coming. On today, a whole arena will include the cards from the following sets: Darkmoon Races mini set, Madness at the Darkmoon Fair, Skullman's Academy, Ashes of Outland, Demon Hunter Initiate, the Boomsday Project, Journey to Ungoro, One Night in Karazhan, Basic and Classic. Unfortunately, I am not up on the arena meta, so I don't know how big of a change this is, but those are some pretty sweet sets. Journey to Ungoro is great. One Night in Karazhan is that's interesting.
There
only one
has to
card.
be
There's only one card I remember from One Night in Karazhan, and it's probably not broken in arena, thankfully.
Yeah,
So,
Firelands Portal is though.
Firelands Portal? Firelands Portal,
Yeah.
Meteor.
Maelstrom Portal.
Mage.
Yeah. So I don't know why the 3 sets at the bottom here, Ungoro, One Night in Karazhan, and Boomsday Project. There has to be some link between those 3, but I have no idea what it is. Because it's the most recent year, and then Boomsday, Ungoro, Kara. They're from 3 different years. They're one's a mid set, 2 are mid sets, one is a first set. There's got to be some link here, but I don't know.
I thought Journey to Ungoro's
a first set. It is, and then Boomsday's a mid set, and
and
One
then
Night in
Boomsday
Karazhan's a mid set.
set.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought. Why did I think One Night in Karazhan was an adventure?
It is.
Oh,
It's a
Boone
but that was
says
the
they
mid set
changed
thing.
it to Mechs,
right.
But the other two don't do mechs.
yeah,
I don't know how these three got picked, and I'm
I
looking
would
for
have to
some
look at
kind
the
of
cards.
connection. Yeah, I'm looking for some kind of connection. I
mean-
can't find it.
Ungoro is elementals and dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's strange. But yeah, then a bunch
Anyway,
of bug fixes
so-
too.
Yeah, a bunch of bug fixes. We're not going to go through all of them. And then they have a book of heroes that looks like a rogue, but it says Anduin. So I'm very confused because the picture of Anduin, he looks like he has 2 daggers in hand, when in actuality they're just like really short swords. So I'm very confused. I don't know enough of the story to know why Anduin would have 2 swords in hand, but it's here on February 2nd, and you can get a priest pack. So I'm sure everybody is very excited to get priest cards. I'm sure everybody is just thrilled that more priest cards will be entering your collection for the period in time before you disenchant them.
I
So
keep my priest
yeah.
cards.
No, I do too. I was making a joke.
I know
I'll
you
appreciate the priest pack, but not the cards.
Mm.
It'll stay a pack.
Yeah, I couldn't handle the notification. Need to get it out of there. Anyway, so yeah, that's the patch. It's a very large patch. Lots of interesting information on there. And then, as we talked about last week, Iksar had an AMA last Wednesday.
Wait, there's more
and then
stuff.
Said,
There's a lot more stuff.
"Oh,
Yeah, these
bunch
other
of
links.
undocumented changes."
These other links are not officially on the site. They're different. There are so many more things.
Right. I did see this. So now, they removed the achievements as getting spoiled mainly for like battlegrounds where you would go into a combat and it would already know what the outcome was, and so you would see the achievement, which kind of it led to some feel baddish moments where you're like, I already know that I'm out of this BG because I got an achievement for a hero I haven't played before, which is not ideal, but they fixed that. And also a great change, instead of just having your bar tick up to tell you how much experience you got, they're going to give you a number with how much experience you got, which is a small but welcome change, I think.
Yeah, before they wouldn't even show the bar if you hadn't completed a quest or crossed over a level, like it would just be invisible. So now they actually show you how much you get each game, even if you didn't tick up any quests. It's nice.
Yep. And there was a known issue that that they're working on, I guess. Basically, they're aware that the art for Town Crier is incorrect and plan on fixing it in our next patch.
They had a human version.
I did not realize that was a meme, or that wasn't a meme. I thought that was
No, they put the guy on the card, and it somehow got shipped instead. And then they had to change him back to a wolf. He was a guy for during the daytime, and then when it hit night, he went back to a wolf. The
That's pretty
Gilnean
great.
curse. Yeah. Yeah, it's fixed now. Also, Rally and Hysteria showed up as commons in packs, but then showed up as epics in your collection. They're rares, so they fixed that. They're working on some shenanigans, where it's not working quite right with weapon tutors. And they delayed a lot of the mobile patches, but they're all out now. But they didn't come out until about 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. They were about 7 hours late.
Wait, so shenanigans just completely kills targeted card draw?
It's Shenanigans says the second
Or
card you
is
draw
supposed
each
to?
turn turns into a banana. But
Okay.
with Cavern Shiny Finder and Forge of Souls, it wasn't working quite right. I don't believe that it was triggering, so they're fixing that. But yeah, now if you have Shenanigans up, your opponent draws for the turn, then plays Scavenger's Ingenuity. That's the second card they drew that turn. Banana.
Wow. Okay, that's better than I thought.
Yes, but you have to have Shenanigans when your opponent is drawing a second card that turn. But
Right.
yeah, there's some situations where it's good, but it's The rogue secrets are narrow. We'll talk about that in the Decksplanations, assuming we ever get there.
Are we going for a record of how many Super Troopers references we can go through during the episode? Is that the goal?
Hey, Farva, what's that restaurant you
I'm
like
on
with the
to
crazy
right here.
crap on the walls and the mozzarella sticks? You guys talking about shenanigans?
And then also, we have 5 new hero skins were added in patch 19.4, including a new rogue portrait. But I just got a new rogue portrait. But maybe Hat will actually like this one for some reason.
I love this one.
Oh, still
I'm
still
so
pissed.
glad that I didn't spend my 50
Oh,
50
man.
level reward on a portrait I'll never use when they're releasing this gorgeous new hero skin. Well, 4 amazing new hero skins based on the 3 kingdoms.
Yeah,
What?
so
They're
we
they're
have-
amazing. Oh, they're so good.
Wait, we get these? It's not just China?
They're in our shop. It's probably going to be celebrating Chinese New Year.
I mean, they're amazing.
Yeah, Chinese
All
New
these
Year is
skins are
February 12th,
incredible.
so I imagine that we will be able to buy a mini bundle to celebrate that.
Well,
And
I'll get the Valera one.
Yeah, so Diao D. Oh my! I shouldn't
Don't
pronounce
do
things.
it. Don't do it.
Yeah. Anyway, bunch of new skins. They all look amazing. I was gonna try and I give up. Yeah, SI7 Anduin. Why does he have daggers? I'm so confused. Anyway,
Where's Lore Master Eve? Eve, we need
yeah,
help.
we need Lore Master Eve. So yeah, new hero skins, and then yeah. So that's pretty much it for Pat. Did I miss anything else on 19.4 Hat? Are we good?
We're
Move
great.
on?
We're great, buddy. Let's go.
All right. Iksar AMA. Another one happened this week. A bunch more questions were asked. Kind of the major points that were gleaned from this AMA about new modes. They're currently working on 2 new modes. They will probably create even more new modes in the future. No rotating mode coming. No tournament mode coming. Womp womp. Pat's theory. Unfortunate. Well, I mean, they could still technically add Conquest in client and have it not be a tournament mode. So the dream is not dead yet, Hat.
It's not dead, but it's sleepy.
Yes. Like Bauticus.
Yes.
There is a potential update to older cards, specifically looking at Jiraxis. I wonder if Jiraxis is going to become a hero card. That would be my first thought, and would make a lot of sense because we now have hero cards. And when Jiraxis was created, we did not have hero cards. So I think that would be a welcome change. And then Dean is looking like he would like to rebuild the arena game mode. The core problem is that there is no matchmaking in arena based on skill. Dean could see a future where it changes. I think that would be quite good. Maybe adding hidden MMR to arena, or maybe just physical, like actual MMR to arena, would be a welcome addition. And then yeah, there's a lot of other stuff, but we will talk a bit about Wild. I'm actually, Hat, if you don't mind, I'm gonna kind of toss this over to you to kind of kick us off about all of the discussions about Wild, because I don't know that I would do it justice.
So, the short version, if you remember from tweets last year, Iksar Dean was pretty clear about Wild being a format where they didn't intend to balance much. They expected it to be a format that would be largely self-correcting, that, there would be more powerful strategies, and that if you want a curated format, that's what Standard was for, and Wild is meant to be more, it is what it is. And that its active intervention wasn't a designed goal of the format. Now, since then, they had made some changes. They nerfed open the Waygate and Bloodbloom in a pretty specific way. They nerfed Dark Glare, even though it was good in Standard and really strong in Wild about a month after Scholomance came out, which was kind of unprecedented. We were expecting that to be around for a while, but it was really, really, really strong, and multiple 8/8s on turn 3, along with Cult Neophytes. It was a little bit too much, so they nerfed it pretty quickly. They haven't made any other nerfs since then. Since printing Darkmoon Fair, Secret Mage is really good. Rigged Fair Game pushed Secret Mage into the next tier of performance, as well as Sage. The deck does not run Alaneth anymore, and anyone that has played against Secret Mage ever recognizes how significant that is. Edelweiss, you didn't know that, did you?
I did not know that. I thought you ran both.
Nope, you cut Alaneth. Which tells you a lot about how powerful Secret Mage is, along with Reno Priest and Darkglare Warlock. Which, if you recall, about 30 seconds ago, I said they nerfed Darkglare Warlock specifically for Wild. It is still tier 1. Still really, really strong. So, we have 3 really powerful decks. Now, there are a bunch of tier 2-ish decks that are good. Kingsbane Rogue, and Discard Zoo, and Odd Paladin, and Big Shaman, and Odd Demon Hunter. But the big 3 are kind of like the big 3, right? So, this most recent set, the mini set, there were concerns from Wild players saying, are there no nerfs coming? And Alex's response was, there's some good stuff coming in this set. We're not nerfing right now, but we think that we have some good stuff in there. We're going to see how the format shakes out. Of course, there were doubts from the Wild community that the mini set would make a dent. It did, because it brought a new 4-card OTK combo to the format, which has some issues, not so much in power level that we can tell, but mostly by animation timing. So the way the combo works, there's
they brought Shudderwalk back.
Basically, yes. There's Wretched Tiller, which is a 1-mana 1/1. When it attacks, deal 2 damage to your opponent. It also has some great voice lines. It says, "Boy howdy, am I undead?" when you play it. I'm not going to try and do Southern accent, so don't ask me to. There's Death Speaker, 3-mana 2/4 that says target minion is immune this turn. And there's Hysteria, the new Priest and Warlock card that says target minion attacks other minions until it dies. So you go Wretched Tiller, then you make it immune with Death Speaker, you make the other Death Speaker immune, and then you Hysteria the Wretched Tiller, and it attacks 15 times, and then your opponent dies. Your opponent takes 30. I believe it can attack up to... it can do up to 60 damage total, I think. So, what is that? 30 times? It can attack up to 30 times? So, you need an Emperor tick to get this down before turn 10, but it's not too hard to do. In Priest, you can play Shrinkmeister to make the Wretched Tiller 0 attack instead of the second Death Speaker. And the animations to attack take forever. So, aggro decks usually dumpster it. It's vulnerable to Dirty Rats. Format will have to correct and deal with it. But if your Ice Block goes off, and you are on the receiving end of 30 attacks here, usually your turn gets skipped. Usually your rope just kind of disappears and your turn gets skipped, because it's 30 animations.
No.
That is the real issue here. So that is why Boudica says Shudderwalk is back. It's very much like Day 1 Shudderwalk. It's not the win rate, it's the player experience and usability issues.
Gotcha.
So, needs to be fixed. However, did shake up the format. Format has been shaken up. But during the AMA yesterday, Iksar said, yeah, this is still the stated goal of the Wild format. We're not looking to actively balance as much. We'll step in a few times a year when there's something that we really feel is crazy in terms of power. They clearly aren't seeing that right now. And they have elected not to touch the format. They are watching this new Wretched Tiller deck, but Wild Twitter is not happy about this development. Now, the argument that was made by Dean was that we want Wild to be the place where you can play old decks that you love without changing anything. I don't think that argument justifies keeping Wild from being balanced, just because I can't play Imp Gang Boss Zoo right now. Like, I can't just take Imp Gang Boss and slam that on turn 3 and be like, I can still play this deck. On the other hand, it is what Dean said last year, that this is what we're going to do, and then he did it. So, I am, and
aren't they like you said though? They're actively managing it.
Couple times a year.
It's not as often as they're managing, say, something like Standard, but they're still managing.
They're nudging it here and there. I would say,
but it's a format that is so. I don't know. I understand. I understand that there are people that are upset, but a format like this that has so many, it just has so many cards in it. I also understand them not touching it nearly as often as Standard. So I don't know. Maybe that's not the take.
Well, but it's, as a person that plays Wild occasionally, as a person that has played Wild, my take currently is I stopped playing Wild because it isn't fun right now, and it's been that way for a couple months. And I don't know if that is a consistent universal opinion, but I think the format could be more fun with light changes that happen slightly more often. Not that they need to. I think they've been consistent about what they've said, but I think that if they nerfed one card per expansion more than they're doing now, the format would be way more fun, and I don't think it would take a ton more work. So I stopped playing the format because it wasn't enjoyable. The top decks feel consistently powerful the same way they have been before. The power level of the format is going to be really high, and that's okay. But the things that are happening so consistently in such a predictable way is, I don't know, I don't really want to keep playing it. And I understand that's not an objective metric, but from the sphere that I follow on Twitter, it seems like that a lot of people are moving away from playing the mode as much right now, at least in the competitive side. And you don't have to change it. You can leave it the way it is. I just don't think the current design goal, while being consistent with what they said in the past, is a successful direction.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think we were talking. Were we talking about it before the show or during the show? Where it was, I think it was like a little bit before the show. It's like if you compare Wild to Magic's The Gathering's format of Legacy, it's like, for me, I loved playing Legacy, but I don't know. I don't feel the same way as much about Wild. It's one of those things where I'll dip a toe in every once in a while. Every once in a while, you play against a booth-free mage, and then you get excited for a little bit, or nonsense rogue. That was fun for a while, but I usually don't end up going back to it for a lot. And
yeah, Wild is a better format at 10x than 11x by a large margin. It is much, much better at lower MMRs because when people aren't trying as hard, there's so much going on. And also, I think it's worth noting, the Wild community on Twitter can be a bit contentious. I don't know a better way to put it, but it's kind of negative a lot. And I'm not going to say that if it's your main format and it's not fun, then that's going to be a reaction that you have. But it's kind of hard to navigate all the different takes because at times they seem competitive with each other, like they seem contradictory, and there's just a lot of negativity and a lot of just arguing, and it's hard to really pin down what's going on because it seems like there's different crises in that format a lot. I know that people are working on it and are disappointed with the direction of the format, and in general, they seem to be pretty unified around being dissatisfied with Iksar's comments. I can't blame them if they want one thing and Iksar's doing the other thing. But it's definitely a community that is smaller and more vocal and tends to be more on the argumentative side. So it's kind of hard to really get an idea as to what's going on without that kind of commentary that I've seen so far. And maybe that's just a personal experience, but it seems like there's a lot of back and forth there that isn't necessarily always fun to experience.
You have anything to add, Edelweiss? Anything?
I haven't played Wild in a while. I keep meaning to dip my toes in a bit, but then stuff happens to Standard and there's new things to try. So it's been hard to actually find my way back simply because I have plenty enough to try in Standard. So I haven't hit that point where I get bored and then start experimenting in Wild. Every once in a while, I'll do a game, but at this point, there's things I want to try in duels too, and I have been playing some BGs casually, so I think there's enough other stuff going on that I'm sort of satisfied.
Yeah. There's so much to do in the client now. It's just been a mode that's fallen down a bit on my priority list. And every so often I dip into it to finish quests or whatever. And then once I clear the quest, I'm like, I'm all set. But all right. Let's go. Well, we said last week there's going to be an esports announcement, right? Let's go to tournaments.
It's the grand tournament.
There was no esports announcement.
All right, thanks. Excellent cover of tournaments from you there, Hat. Well done.
I can't wait to do
Keeping
the
it brief.
timestamps for that one.
Yes. I'm looking forward to seeing that in the show notes. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Matt is right. I do need to do this.
But that's fine, because then it just gives us more time to talk about this week's Decksplanations, which, as expected, is covering the new set, new cards. We got them all at once, so we couldn't go through all 35. We have some new set / day one impressions. Bodicus has not gotten the chance to play with them yet because he's been with PoE. But Hat and
No,
I.
because he's been
No, I haven't
working.
got-
He
I was
works during the
working
day.
Oh, the
I
way
was
you talked
working
about
till-
it was because of PoE. I thought that
I
was
was,
all.
I was
No,
working
that's
till
why
an
he didn't
hour
play-
before the show.
That's why he
Oh,
didn't play
and
Hearthstone
then-
the other
Alright,
6
that was-
days.
That was
and then I went-
unfair of me
And then I went to sleep for an
So,
hour before the show, and then I
because-
wook up and I was groggy.
because
and I
Bot's day
apologize.
is 3 hours behind us, and so work. All right, my bad. But anyway, we're gonna have Bodicus do his takes first because he still has the unplayed approach, whereas Hat and I have gotten to play with some of these and face some of these a little bit, so it'll be just a different perspective. So to start things off, Bodicus, what is a card that you can't wait to play with?
Okay. I don't think this card is playable, but I still want to play it. It's a Key Warden Ivory. It is a 5-mana 4/5 with Battlecry. Discover a dual class card from any class and spell burst get another copy. It is it looks like both a rogue and a mage minion. And let me tell you about 5-mana 4/5s that give you a lot of value.
Oh, yeah.
Some of
This
you
is
may
for
know
the
of a
Barista
card
Lynchin players out there.
called Barista Lynchin, which was good for a brief period of time when Quest Shaman was good, and also still probably didn't even need to be in that deck. But this card has equal amounts of value that seems very sweet and probably not powerful enough to make it make a huge impact. But
I've got news for you,
could
Bodicus.
probably-
Got news for you. I played this in the deck today, and it was solid.
yeah, I mean, it seems like it has a play. Like you could slot this into Highlander Mage and not be super upset about it.
That's what I did. And I was against a Paladin, and I played it on turn 6, and I got a Devolving Missiles, and I played it, and I got another one. And it was very good.
That seems good.
Wow.
It was, my opponent was displeased, except I'm lying a little bit. I fudged that story. Because what I actually did is I played the actual Devolving Missiles in my deck on the left, and then I held both of the generated ones. My opponent conceded to the third one.
Very rude.
It was good.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how viable. This seems like a card that we try out early and realize that it's just a little too slow and not like cards that give a lot of value like this but don't end the game tend to not be in decks a week after they have been released. So I hope I'm proven wrong, but it seems just like kind of a sweet card to talk about, and the idea of just getting dual class cards is appealing to me. So probably very inconsistent, and we got a whole bunch of new dual class cards, but at the same time, it's kind of sweet.
Well, this only gets dual class spells. Does not get dual
Right.
class cards. It only
Narrower
gets spells.
Spells. Oh.
Yeah.
So better, because we have some new, a lot of or I'm looking at the page, there's a bunch of one cost dual class spells, which seems like something you would be interested in. But still, a lot of these dual class cards are spells.
Yep.
It seems.
It's a decent value card in Highlander Mage. I expect that post-rotation, this is kind of going to be the standard for the level of value generation we get, and it'll be more relevant there. I still don't see this seeing play in any kind of current rogue archetype that we have, just because rogue doesn't need to play cards that cost more than 3 that aren't Jandis Barov. But in Mage right now, it's felt decent. Yeah, it's solid. I like it. I like the card.
This card does not synergize with Secret Passage.
No.
This card and Rogue decks play Secret Passage, and the last thing you want to see in a Secret Passage is a 5-mana card. So.
Yep, except for Jandis Barov.
Well, usually you want that to be already in your hand.
Yes.
You don't want to see it. You do not want to see that in the Secret Passage.
So, the card that's impressed me that I played with is Libram of Judgment. And I want to ask you both, where were you when you realized this gets discounted by your Libram cards?
Instantly. I knew instantly, and I thought this card was very good, because I said 7-mana 5/3 with lifesteal is the Uther weapon, and that's about how much I would cost that weapon at. And then I read that it said Libram, and I was like, oh, this card seems really good.
Yeah, I like half realized at first. I was sort of like, oh, okay, that's really nice weapon, and we can get that back off of Yasharaj maybe if in some kind of controlling paladin. Then I'm like, wait, it's a Libram, it gets reduced. Okay, but how many things do we actually have that'll corrupt to this? And then it dawned on me that it gets reduced at the same rate that Libram of Hope gets reduced. So the answer is you'll always be able to corrupt it.
And what I can tell you from playing Pure Paladin today, if you were asking the question, how do we corrupt this? Who cares? Hit them with the book. Play the book. Hit them with the book. It's so many games. I just, after playing Truthseeker, like even just with Truthseeker, you play this the turn after.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a game where I just coined Truthseeker and then played a book and hit them with the book. And it's having reach from hand at this power level at this cost is really, really nice in that deck, because we were pretty happy with the 3/3 weapon that made a 6/6 taunt, and that was okay. But now we can just go lower curve. The list I've been playing I got from Zeroshio, of course, and trying out the new cards. When Rally gets back Shotbot and Goody Two Shields, Rally is a good card. It's very good.
Oh my goodness.
And then when you hit them with the book, they die. So had a good time with Pure Paladin today and felt pretty happy about it. But Edelweiss, you were streaming today, and you found a card that seemed pretty powerful as well.
So, you know how Mage likes to cheat mana with
like Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Yeah. So Conjure Mana Biscuit would be a filler, no cost 2 spells without Sorcerer's Apprentice. With Sorcerer's Apprentice, it's 2 spells and gains you mana. So Conjure Mana Biscuit is completely bonkers because it's very flexible. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can just bank 2 mana effectively. It's not like it can only be spent on spells like prep or anything. It's literally just, I don't need to hero power their face this turn, so I'll cast Conjure Mana Biscuit and have that 2 mana refresh later on. You can do that. You can use it the turn that you're going off with Mana Cyclone to just like cast it, cast the refresh, and that is another 2 spells in your sequence for Mana Cyclone. And yeah, like I said, if you have Sorcerer's Apprentice in play, you cast it for 1, the refresh gets you 2, and you gain mana. It's so completely insane. I'm really glad that the pool of spells for Magic Trick is so wide that you can't hit this very often off of Magic Trick, because more of these would be completely unfair.
It's super good with Chenvala too. Like with Chenvala, it's just if you have 2 mana, it's just 2
Oh,
ticks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then it goes into the whole package for Cyclone Mage right now, which one of Hat's cards later on, Phoenix, helps as well as an elemental. Like, you get to reliably use elemental allies, the side quest in Cyclone Mage. It already was good before. Now it's really consistent. The card draw on that deck is great. I expect Mage to be back up in tier 1 for a while now.
This is a scary card.
It's really scary.
Like, you just either you play this card, and then whenever you decide to play your Sorcerer's Apprentice, the Sorcerer's Apprentice is essentially free. And if you play this with Sorcerer's Apprentice, it's kind of generating you mana. And generating mana in a deck that wants to play a bunch of spells in one turn is very powerful. So yeah, this is one of the scary cards from the set. We'll see how it turns out. I don't think Mage was in a particularly great place before, especially Cyclone Mage was not in a particularly great place before the set came out. So we'll see how much of an impact one card. Well, there's probably a couple cards in the set, but especially this card, this being kind of the headliner for Mage, we'll see how big of an impact it can make.
Of note, people have been doing Mozaki Mage since this came out, apparently, just some of the streamers. I also realized that you can do old Exodia combo by going with both biscuits if you've already used them, like earlier in the match. So they're just the 0 mana refresh 2. You can go Apprentice, play your biscuits, Potion of Illusion, and then, because the Potion of Illusion costs 2 with the Apprentices in play, play the 1-cost ones, Tony, and there's your Exodia combo.
Yeah, it's a lot of cards, but you could definitely do that. But I think the way you're
All I
using
need is
it
possible.
with Mana Cyclone, it's probably
Better.
that's what I would probably recommend. I like
Seems-
that.
seems
that
good.
Case.
Seems strong.
Yeah.
So, and that isn't even the scary card though. Edelweiss, if you hadn't put this card down as your scary card, I would have put it down as mine. Like, you talked about it already, but I think that Conjure Mana Biscuit is a little spooky. I do like that it says refresh and not add, because if it was straight up innervate, it'd be even crazier. But it's, I don't know. This seems pretty spooky. But Bodicus, tell us about a
I
card
like
that...
this a lot more, by the way. Giving back mana crystals.
Oh, yes.
I understand what they're doing with
Yeah.
Druid, but giving refreshing mana crystals you have.
Yes,
much
not
more
letting you
balanced
jump the
than-
curve.
Yes. All right, card that scares me, and I think I didn't when I wrote down this card, I was not aware of what the meta had become, and according to Hat, I was right to be scared of this card. Nitro Boost Poison. So they just added a preparation to Tinker it's oil.
Yes, to Tinker
They
Sharpsword Oil. They just...
Yeah, that one. They just it cost 1, and it's slightly worse, and you have to corrupt it. I'm doing big quotation marks. It costs 1, and you have to corrupt a 1-cost card. I mean, adding powerful low-cost cards to a deck that wants to draw a lot of cards with Secret Passage, scary. This card is very powerful, and I like the base case scenario I had thought of was just playing Sneaky Delinquent on turn 2, and then you use your hero power and play this oil on 3, attack for 5 is a pretty low case scenario and a very powerful turn where you're just dealing 8 right away. And apparently also you can you can play prep and then corrupt it afterwards with a
with a 1-drop.
I
Yeah.
assume a non-spell,
Well,
and
it's,
then
So deckhand.
it's corrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While it costs 0 under the influence of prep, if you play a 1-mana minion, it corrupts.
So this is a lot of damage to a deck that was already pretty good and already does a lot of damage, and it's not expensive, so it can still fit in the deck. So yeah, that's we'll see. That's a yikes from me.
It's good. By the way, good and wild too. Very good with Kingsbane. And very good with Pirate Warrior in wild. Very good.
Because you've got the
Yeah.
you've got the 1-drop that gives you a 1/3 weapon.
You mean
That
you've
gets a
got a
lot better.
3/1 that gives you a 3/3 weapon? Yes, that's what you said, right? Because
Wait.
then you play the poison.
Oh no, I'm talking about Pirate Warrior, not
Yes.
Cavern Shiny Finder.
I'm because after you play this card, then you have a 3/3 weapon and a 3/1.
Sure.
Yeah, seems good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, oh man, it's like a deadly poison. It's like a way better deadly poison.
No,
But
it's unearthed cold blood.
you have to corrupt it, kind of.
It's just
I
unearthed
guess,
cold blood.
but
Yeah,
it's wow.
it's very powerful.
Yeah, that card's scary.
Yep. And yeah, you can corrupt it in wild Geopass with Corsair Cash or Cannon or Ankar. Any number of ways to do it. You just there are 2 and 3 cost spells in that deck. Edelweiss, why don't you read your spooky card?
Yeah, so I initially had Nitro Boost Poison as the card that scared me, but I have since put Hysteria because I figured someone else would put Nitro Boost Poison, and Hysteria it's really good. I mean, it does a very different thing than Mass Hysteria, right? But it's way more flexible. I was playing as a Treant Druid earlier today, and I did Bloom for the 4-mana 2/3 that summons 2 Treants. I did like Bloom coin and had that on 1, and I was overloaded turn 3 on their turn 2. On their turn 3, they just played Hysteria, and it was a full clear because the 2/3 hit the other 2/2s. So very solid for certain early game boards where they have like 1 minion that's bigger than the other 2. I imagine this will clear 3 minions a lot. Particularly when you can factor in that they can make attacks beforehand if they want to shift things around a bit. Another thing is they can use it if they have a big minion in play and they just want it to attack everything on your board quickly. They can just like play the minion and then Hysteria on their minion to attack your stuff. Could let them Apotheosis more quickly. If say you've got something that manages to stick and they Apotheosis, they get to go face and then cast Hysteria on it to clear your board. There's a lot of really disgusting plays to be made with Hysteria, whether it's using your opponent's biggest minion to clear the rest of their board or putting it on your stuff. It's just such a flexible card. And I'm worried that it might give something like Res Priest enough board clears to actually be real, and I don't want Res Priest to be real.
This feels like it's halfway between a Super Collider and Ramming Speed,
Yeah.
which are warrior cards, and Ramming Speed obviously not good enough to see play, but Super Collider was ended up being one of the best warrior cards in that format, and yeah, it's just like a much better. It seems like a much better version of Ramming Speed, but it's in Priest, which I think makes it even better. Because Priest seems to have a bit more control over stuff like that. So, yeah, I definitely understand what you're talking about with this being a scary card, 100%.
I think this more reminds me almost of Dark Skies. It's you don't like Bladestorm. You want a clean board, and this card you want a messy one. You want minions of different sizes. And you want like a lot of different attacks to happen. You don't want a lot of minions the same size. So Dark Skies it's rotating out shortly, but that's also the kind of card where you want a bunch of different stuff to hit. and this seems pretty similar in application. But it's also, I think, Priest having access to Dark Skies is pretty good for Priest. Right? Like, that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a strong card.
Also, Warlock just has so many board clears now.
Yeah, Warlock has a lot going on. Rotation is going to take away Plague of Flames and Dark Skies, which is going to be good for the health of the game. Yeah. So,
Hat,
cool
do you
card.
want to go into your scary card here?
My spooky card is one that Edelweiss, you've been playing with this all day.
Ah, so good.
Imprisoned Phoenix. So, Imprisoned Phoenix, 2 mana, 2/3, Mage and Shaman Elemental, Dormant, spell damage +2. If you play this, your opponent can't remove it. They can't disrupt your hand, they can't disrupt your board, it is untouchable. It counts towards elemental allies the turn you play it. And Cram Session is really good. It's a really good card. And you get to play this and then Cram Session for 3 guaranteed. And you get to play this and then coin out Ras Frost Whisper and hit your opponent's board for 3. And do whatever you want.
Yep.
You can do all sorts of stuff. So I don't know about Shaman, but Mage got a lot of love this mini set. A lot of love. It because also like the 1 mana 1/3 is really strong. But yeah, this card is spell damage that I can't touch and that you don't need mana for during your Mage turn. Spooked. Spooky.
The one thing I was debating dipping into Wild for to try was something like our old fast freeze mage with the spell damage. Because we used to do a thing with Evolved Kobold and Medivh's Ballet, and it was just, you didn't run Alex because you were just super low to the ground and try and get them really, really quickly. And I was thinking that maybe with like this and Ice Lance and Glacial Rider, Glacial Racer, that you could have some kind of very low to the ground freeze mage / burn mage. So that's something I'd be interested in trying in Wild. Hopefully my my star rating is low enough over there that I wouldn't immediately face the crazy decks that are in Wild.
So Glacier Racer is like, it's like almost a
It's an Ice Lance.
Oh.
It goes face. You can just
it goes face.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
So either you play it in Frost Nova for 4 mana to Hellfire your opponent's board, or you play it with a Frostbolt to fireball them.
Yeah. Or you Frostbolt and then play it and then Frost Nova and do all of the above.
Oh. That's
you can pre-freeze things and then spell burst.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking like in my head I was just like, oh, you can Ray of Frost and then play this and then Ray of Frost something else, and that's 3 mana, deal 6 damage to 2 different things. That's pretty good. And then obviously the Frost Nova thing, but I was 6 damage Frost Bolts. Ooh. Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's some damage.
So Mage got a lot of love. I think Mage is the big winner of this expansion. So cards, unimpressive cards. Plodicus, I want to hear what you think about this guy.
I have to remember what card I chose.
Envoy Rustwix.
I have
the Warlock.
I have the name here.
5/4 demon that gives primes.
Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of cards that were like super unimpressive, but this was just one of those cards where it's like, it's a cool effect, it's a cool card, it's Envoy Rustwick, the 5 mana 5/4 demon with Death Rattle, shuffle 3 random prime legendary minions into your deck. So I mean, if it was a battle cry, it would be more exciting to me, because it can kind of just get silenced. But even then, we've all shuffled some prime legendaries into our decks over the last few months, and boy, those take a long time to get drawn. And I mean, obviously the dream is to get the demon legendary shuffled in and then to resummon this one and get more primes into your deck. That's the fun dream. But unfortunately, it's just like, it's a lot of memes, I think. And maybe it'll be cool, but likely it will, you'll shuffle some primes into your deck and then you'll die because you played a 5 mana 5/4. It's like this is the type of value that you don't want. Whereas at least the at least the what card I was excited to play with, you just kind of like you get something automatically, you can get more stuff, and it's like you're doing things. But this is just kind of like I'm gonna take a chance, and it doesn't seem like it has the payoff that you want.
Yeah, I think the comparison I'd make here is original Elise Starseeker, that you're just kind of adding, or actually any Elise, either could be like it's probably closer to Ungoro Elise, where you just add some value to your deck. Free admission helps a lot because free admission will find you 2 minions in your deck. You can play this in Warlock with like plot twisty stuff if you really want to, but I think free admission is enough to find it. There could very well be a control-y Warlock deck that plays this as its way to get value later game. But right now, it's really optimistic. It's really ambitious right now.
I like what we have this chatter named Gobbledygook in the chat says sometimes you just got to have fun cards in the game, and I 100% agree, and I think that's what this card is. But in terms of being impressed with its power level, I'm not there. But like I said, there's just like the set has just a bunch of good cards and not a whole lot of unimpressive stuff. I'm just looking from it from the point of view of somebody who generally plays to win and doesn't really play as much for the memes. So
Hey,
cool card, but not
I'll try it
something
in an Archwitch Willow deck at some point.
That sounds extremely plausible. So as for me, the card that underwhelmed me, I hate this card. I hate it a lot. Sparkjoy Cheat. People were losing their minds about this card. It's a 3-mana 3/3 rogue card. Battlecry, if you're holding a secret, cast it and draw a card. I hate this card. I saw it at first and I was like, it seems fine, but it's not the card that makes Secret Rogue better, but we probably play it in a Secret Rogue deck. I am now at the point where I think you actively choose not to play it. I lost a game today because my last card in the deck was Hanar. My hand had the last secret in my deck and Sparkjoy Cheat and Swindle. Yep. And I could not combo the Swindle with anything other than the cheat or the secret. There were multiple times during the game earlier where I had one secret, one blackjack stunner, and a Sparkjoy Cheat, and I didn't want to use the stunner yet. And I could not, like, it's not that the cheat was just a 3/3. I actively couldn't play it because the timing of Rogue Secrets, this isn't like Phase Stalker where it's drawing a card you don't have in your hand. And it's not like Freezing Trap or Explosive Trap where they're always disruptive to your opponent. It's not like Ice Barrier or Flame Ward where they're not going to go off. You need ambush at specific times. You want, like, Dirty Tricks is fine, but I'm not just going to fire it out there. But Blackjack Stunner and Hanar need the secret in your hand, not in play. With only 4 secrets in the deck, I can't afford to spend the secrets for this card. Drawing a card is not enough of a payoff. I already draw plenty of cards as Rogue. But losing the choice of when I play my secret is terrible. Because unlike Mage, unlike Hunter, where the secrets are valuable in play, in Rogue they're valuable in your hand. And so a card that takes them out of your hand without your choice as to which secret you play or when you play it is not good. And so losing the agency and the ability to time it is quite poor. I would have won the game with Hanar if I didn't have to play my last secret to go get it, even though it was the last card in deck. It was a mirror match against, it was some control deck. It was either, I think it was a priest or a warrior or something. It was some game where the value from Perpetual Hanar would have been enough. But I didn't get there because I literally couldn't play it, and earlier in the game was super awkward. Rogue secrets, like, they generally aren't that good. Secret Clone is terrible. Bamboozle is like, I usually don't want to lose my minions. I want to keep my minions in play. Plagiarize, I don't need the value right now. I fill my hand with whatever. So I just think that Secret Rogue is better without this card in it.
Yeah, I think this needs a different kind of Secret Rogue, right? Like one that cares more about having secrets in play. and that's just not what.
We don't have any payoffs for
like-
that right now. Like, it's, we don't have anything that says secrets in play make my deck better, because there are no hunter secrets that.
I mean, there's the bounce thing, but you're always doing that as I play a secret now and then bounce something.
Yeah. So the only rogue secret that disrupts attacks right now is Bamboozle, and that I think is the worst rogue secret, just because rogues minions in play generally have value or are really low cost.
It's the best one with this card specifically.
Yes.
But that kind of says something, right?
Yeah.
Playing Bamboozle with this card gives you a 6-drop if they attack into it, and that's interesting. But I think we need more secrets so that you can sort of have the option of building that kind of secret deck in order for this to really see play.
Well, not even more secrets. Rogue secrets don't impact the board. And so you need secrets that impact the board for this to be a tempo card. But instead, this is a value card, and Secret Rogue doesn't want more value, it wants more tempo. So people looked at this card. If you put this in Hunter, it's insane. It's bonkers. In Mage, it's insane. But in Rogue, it's you don't need a value card when the value is overflowing. We need a tempo card.
Right.
This card is sweet.
It's cool, but I don't want to play it in Secret Rogue.
You know why this card is sweet? This card is so sweet because it reads insanely well and is very obvious. Well, was pretty obvious to me that you would not play it, just because when you think about this card, a 3-mana 3/3 that spends 2 of your mana and draws you a card would be an insane card. But the way that it does it is just not good because you have to play Rogue Secrets. And the Rogue Secrets are cool, but they're not good. And the only way that they're good is when they function with your other secret payoff cards, like Hat was saying, like Hanar, like Blackjack Stunner. That's when it's good. And unfortunately, a card like this just doesn't function with the rest of the deck. And it's kind of sad, but I mean, like, if you told me that I could play a 3-mana card that gained me essentially 2 mana and drew me a card, I'd be like, oh, I am sold. And then you read what it does and you're like, oh, it's just it's way too hard to make work. And even though the new Rogue Secret gives it more secrets that you could put into the deck, you just don't want, that's not a thing you want to do. And you need a high density of secrets for a card like this to function, because otherwise it is just a 3-mana 3/3. And while you can play those, we do play an SI7 agent sometimes. This is not the 3-mana 3/3 that you want. So unfortunate, but it's kind of it's a cool card. It's a sweet card, but it's not one that I definitely agree with Hat. It's not going to be a card that's going to make it into decks right now. We'll see what happens rotation wise. We'll see how things develop. But
I have an idea for it, but I mean, it would be a very different kind of deck, right? This is great if you're putting Ambush into play, if you're putting Bamboozle into play. Those also work well with Inconspicuous Rider, which is another thing that you wouldn't run in what we know of for Secret Mage right now, or sorry, Secret Rogue right now. Maybe there's a different kind of Secret Rogue deck to be explored where you just run more of the secrets because you can.
I want a better payoff for having more than one secret in play, or for sticking a secret in play. In Mage, you Cloud Prince people. Like, your payoff is a Fireball and a 4/4, and that's a pretty good payoff. But in Rogue, everything's so cheap that there's no... you don't ever have to play a secret and hope your Stunner is active next turn. You just play them both at once. And it's 3 mana sap, and, it's fine. And then you get a Shadow Step and go off. And Stunner is fine right now. But Prize Plunder is like Stunner, except instead of sapping it, it just murders it. It just kills it. So, the value of Stunner has gone way down since they printed 1 mana kill a guy, make a guy. So card that's underwhelmed you, Edelweiss.
Yeah, so my underwhelming card was Guidance, because I misread this card when I looked at it. When I first read this card, I thought it was... So this is a Druid Shaman hybrid. And I thought that it read 1 mana, look at 2 spells from your deck. And you pick one and overload to get both. That would have been insane. So I'm glad it's not that. But it's basically instead of they didn't say discover because you only look at 2 cards, not 3 cards. But it's you look at 2 random spells that are not in your deck, and you can either choose one of them at no overload cost or take both of them at the overload cost. But it's a much broader pool of spells being random instead of in your deck. If it was in your deck, you could have such insane consistency that you would always pick take both because they're 2 spells that are in your deck on purpose. Given that they're random, it's fine, but I think it's one of those cards where it maybe makes it into things when you're in sort of a 4-set meta, but right now we have so many good cards that you just play the cards you want. You don't play something like Guidance.
I wish this card was discover a spell, add it to your hand, or overload, add the other 2 to your hand instead.
Oh, so it'd be like 4 options.
It'd be ever so slightly better. But yeah, essentially you could either like discover a spell, or you could essentially take the 2 options you don't take by overloading, and that would be, I think I've seen that card on like custom Hearthstone Reddit or something before.
I get what you're saying, and I know
cool.
why they didn't do that.
Oh yeah, because people would select a card and then try to take both and get the 2 that they didn't want.
Also, they get to use the same UI sort of as Discover with this, because what you're looking at is one spell, the other spell, or pick both. And so it's sort of the same screen that you would get as a Discover that shows you 3 options. If you do what you're talking about, you need it's way too complicated for the UI.
It would have to be 2 screens. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have to be like discover a card, and then it would pop up again and say either get that card or take both.
They've done 4 options before, though. DeWolf was saying in chat. They've done 4 options before.
I think you could do a choose one, where it was like if you play the card and it's choose one, where it's discover a spell or take the 2 that you don't want. Yeah, it's too.
You would have to click more than once, and
right.
I think that is the reason not to do it that way.
Yeah,
it's too fiddly. I like the way that they did this. I think this is more of a shaman card than a druid card. It reminds me almost of Raven Idol.
You do?
Yeah, I think that Control Shaman someday will play this for value. Like, this is the kind of card that Elemental Shaman would have played. Zach, like it's just some value, just some random value. Like maybe Druid can do that because it's ramping, but I think Druid is more likely to play Nature Studies or Resizing Pouch or something. Whereas I don't think that Shaman has access to those kind of tools. However, I don't think it's great in Shaman either, just that it's more likely to see play in Shaman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at Shaman spells, and I know that you can choose the option where you just get one of them, but just like imagine when you play this card and your 2 cards are Ancestral Healing and Totemic Mind. It's like I don't want either of these. There's a lot like Frost Shock, Earth Shock, Fork Lightning. There's a large portion of spells where you're unlikely you would just rather play. You just want to play the spell, right? You just want
the third option. The third option should be the coin. The third option should be not take both, but take neither. Gain a mana.
But then you spent a mana.
It's like a mana biscuit.
You could
spend.
Yeah. Okay.
Would you pay 1 mana to add a coin to your hand? No.
In Rogue, yes.
In Rogue, yes. Yes.
I'd probably do it in Shaman as well, but
maybe.
What happened to me is I played this, thought, oh, they're not spells from my deck, because I was offered Ancestral Spirit and Hex in a burn deck, and I took it out of my deck after that game.
Yeah. Well,
so
that's a good reason to not play a card. Bodicus, tell us about the card that you can't wait to see figured out, and then we'll wind down.
Imprisoned Celestial. So this is a new Paladin card. It is a 3 mana 4/5 that is dormant for 2 turns, and then Spell Burst. Give your minions Divine Shield Giving a lot of minions Divine Shield has traditionally been very powerful. I don't know that we will find room for a card like this in Paladin, because Paladin doesn't really have like a ton of spells. I mean, I guess you have Librams, but at the same time, when you're playing Librams, you're either like playing minions for a turn or you're playing Librams. It's not so often that you're doing both.
I mean, you could play this card and then Salad's Pride and then Animated Broomstick and a Libram, and then you have a 4/5 Rush Divine Shield, a 3/1 Rush Divine Shield, and a 1/1 Rush Divine Shield. That seems okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of use cases out of it. My point is more that there is so much good stuff happening. Like Paladin just has a plethora of good cards in the deck. I don't know that this one finds a spot for it, but I just thought it was a cool card, and the idea of playing this and like making a bunch of Silverhand recruits, like that's kind of interesting. I don't think it's as powerful as the current Libram package, but it's kind of it's an interesting card, and I thought it was worth mentioning at least because I saw it, and it's just like these effects like these dormant cards are something that you traditionally need to pay mana for, so they're not as good because you have to pay mana for it and then you have to get the effect, so it can't be as powerful. But when it's dormant for 2 turns, you essentially bank all that mana and then get to do the effect for what you want it to on the turn that you want it to go off, and I just think that's kind of neat.
Well, and I'm so glad that this card says Spell Burst, give your minions Divine Shield, and that it's not just when it awakens, give your minions Divine Shield, because it would just be a bad card if it was when it awakens. Then they just prioritize clearing your board on 4 so that when it wakes up on 5, you have nothing to get Divine Shield except itself. And still, like, that's decent to 3 mana for end up with a 4/5 Divine Shield later on. That's okay. But I love being able to go play this on 3, turn 4, you play like True Silver Champion or some other 4-drop, and then turn 5, when it awakens, you can do like a corrupted Day at the Fair and get 5 Divine Shield Silverhand recruits in some kind of dude deck.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Carnival Barker Air Raid is a 4/5 Divine Shield, 3/2 Divine Shield, nice. 2/2/3 Divine Shields with taunt. It's the I love the design of this card because Spellburst is such a fantastic mechanic. It's fun and interesting and flexible, but you can't exactly play it in pure Paladin because it's really slow.
Yeah.
So you have to play it in something like Libram, where like Broom makes this card work really well as there might be some other Paladin decks that haven't gotten figured out yet that are okay with taking off turn 3 to really make the mid-rangey turn 5 work out. So I agree with you, Bot. I can't wait to see this figured out. Now, Edelweiss, the card that you put that you can't wait to be figured out.
We kind of talked about.
it. It's Glacier Racer.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned it before. Just the fact that you can preemptively freeze stuff and then activate the spell burst so that you hit as many targets with the 3 damage as you want is really intriguing. Media had a post earlier talking about how this may be some kind of comeback for Freeze Mage between the dormant spell damage minion and Glacier Racer. I agree, we're almost there. It's pretty good that Ice Lance isn't around, or that would be a deck for sure. Honestly, I think what is holding it back right now is just Mage hasn't gotten the kind of tools that Shaman has in terms of cheap burn spells. Like Fireball isn't actually great for that deck because it's 4 mana. And your spell damage card, you want to cast a bunch of spells in the same turn to activate it. Like Fireball is fine, but Frostbolt, Ice Lance would be the thing that you want to do. So, I mean, something I was thinking about was, you know, you've still got Arcane Missiles and Violet Spellwing, but you need to clear your opponent's board for that. It's going to be a weird puzzle to piece together, but I think some kind of Freeze Mage could make a comeback.
So if you go Alex, and you can Alex them, and then next turn just go Glacier Racer, Frostbolt Fireball is 15.
Yep.
Yeah. I think a lot of times they're just going to be used with Frost Nova for a board clear.
Yeah, and then it's like has that use case outside of that too. It's
Yeah.
it seems like a more flexible card than when I first looked at it, so
Yeah,
I'll be also interested to see.
I used a different way as well today. I played it on turn 1 and traded with a 2/1, and then it got hit, and I was happy. It's a 1-mana 1/3 with upside. It's a really strong card, very efficient. Gets bolted onto any free spell to make it way better. Like, I don't know, give all your free spells, give your next free spell you play spell damage +3 seems insane. But also, like, the way you can stagger it, like you said, you can do the Frost Nova and then this and then the Frostbolt and, like, kill all your stuff and fireball you. It's good. It's really good. I don't know. Like, we're going to figure out uses for this card, but it's already really good. Like, today, right now, this minute, it's already really good, but we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
My card, the last card we're going to talk about, is one that hasn't been figured out yet. There's something
I
here.
love this pick, by the way. I love this pick.
It's really nice.
Moonfang! 5 mana, 6/3, neutral, beast, legendary, can only take 1 damage at a time. Botticus, why do you love this pick?
This card is sneaky powerful. Like,
It is.
very, very sneaky powerful. When you think of how you remove minions in Hearthstone, this card is way stickier than it looks, and
It needs a shower.
better hope you're playing a Shadow Word Death. Better hope you're playing some hard removal, because
It's not dying to damage. Yeah.
Yeah, you're never trading into this card, right? Like, trading into this card is so miserable unless you just have a bunch of 1/1s. I guess maybe it's a little worse because Animated Broomstick's a card, right? Maybe the sees more potential if that card gets if they nerf that card, which they should probably do, but like,
I mean,
this card is
Broomstick
just never
makes a
getting traded
difference,
into.
but it's also like, I want to figure out who figures out how to buff this card successfully, because I think this could go in Libram Paladin. Each buff gives it a layer of Divine Shields. Divine Shields are annoying. The card that I think that makes this less viable is not Broom, it's the other one drop from Scholomance, it's Penflinger. Penflinger is not what this card wants to see. But if you can Scavenger's Ingenuity this, and it's an 8/5, that's 4 Divine Shields that you have to pop. It's, if you hit it with like, God forbid you hit it with a Blessing of Authority, never dying. Never dying under any circumstances. You know, you can Guardian Animals it out.
Risky Skipper also.
Skipper's not great. Yeah.
This card.
Skipper's rotating. But yeah, I think there will be a way to make this card good. There are a bunch of uphill factors for it right now. I think Penflinger is number 1. But yeah, Skipper is a thing, and Broom is a thing. But it's I don't know, it's a threat that's going to be such a pain in the butt to deal with for a lot of things, but it's not going to ever be format defining. It's not so hard to remove that everyone immediately put it in their decks and called it broken, which I love as well. I'm glad this is a neutral, and it's a cool tool to have in Standard, and I think that it will be a relevant thing to some deck in the near future.
I just like that Demon Hunter can, like, never remove this card.
Yeah.
How does Demon Hunter ever kill this card?
Immolation Aura and Ultras.
This is a beast.
It is.
So
you can Guardian Animals.
N'Zoth decks, Guardian Animals. I love that since it's a neutral legendary beast, it could be like your beast in your N'Zoth deck. That's something that could be interesting going forward. And yeah, as you say, it's got so many ways that it is good in different decks. For Druid, you maybe strengthen numbers, Guardian Animals, shenanigans. Priest, can you imagine getting the opportunity to Psych Split this?
I have imagined it many times, but I don't know what it would look like in person.
What about if you Apotheosised this?
Yeah. There's a lot of things Priest would love to do with this card. So honestly, this could go in some kind of Resurrect Priest if that's a thing.
Yeah. This is kind of just a pain to deal with. And yeah, Geopaus in the chat is saying Ironbark on this. Very strong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Ironbark's, like, there are a lot of ways to make this really, really, really annoying. And at a certain point of health buffs, you turn it into a little Rattlegore. And
Yep.
I like the idea of a neutral card that we can turn into a little Rattlegore with enough work that has very clear ways to counter it. I like that all those things are in standard. And
This seems like the typical. This seems like the exact card where you look at it and it reads really good, and then we just will never see this card.
Yeah.
I feel like
Maybe.
this is one of those cards where it's like, oh man, think of all these cases where this card is sweet, and then you just start thinking about, oh well, then there's Dark Skies, oh there's Immolation Aura, there's we have Risky Skipper and Penflinger and Animated Broomstick, and it's like, okay, well. We'll see. This is definitely a card where it's like we'll see, but I just love the way it reads. It's just kind of a cool card, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Remember though that we thought Rattlegore when it came out. We said this is a sweet card. It just gets hexed or polymorphed or devolving missiled. Like we didn't think Rattlegore was going to be as good as it ended up being, and we were very wrong. So I will be happy to probably happy to be wrong about Moonfang.
yeah, well,
I believe I was hyping up Rattlegore, and you two talked me out of it. If I remember correctly, Hat was very much into talking me out of it.
this
when I
sounds
was
like
like,
something
"Oh,
I
this-
would do.
this
I
is-
believe that I did that. I don't
I bel-
remember.
I believe Priest was popular at the time, and I was like, how does Priest ever kill this? And then somebody was like, mind control, and I was like, oh,
No.
well that
No, I
sucks.
remember now.
And then-
I said Soul Mirror into Apotheosis.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Which
By the way, it does happen.
Yes.
has happened.
I was right
And,
about that,
yeah.
but Priest is bad and Rattlegore was good, and you could, like, there were a bunch of reasons that we were wrong about that, but Rattlegore is not as good right now. The reason that Warrior is good right now is Skipper Smith, and if you try and Moonfang on 5, and they're like, cool, Foxy Fraud, Hook Scimitar, Nitro Blood Poison, getcha, your Moonfang is going to look real dumb because they don't care about trading with it. So, I think there will be a world where Moonfang is a card that people try and is successful, and I think it's cool and interesting, and I can't wait to see it figured out. But there's also a world where people try Moonfang like, man, this is almost good enough. I sure wish it was. I'm going to take it out of my deck. So, hope that's not what happens. But I would very much like to see that card in play on purpose, and I would like to play it. And the great thing is, anyone that buys a set will never have to say, well, I don't own Moonfang, because for $15, you too can be a proud owner of Moonfang, or 2,000 gold, for a reasonable price.
Which,
And
by the way, 30%, nearly a 30% discount
that's
for sets like that. That's a very large gold discount for people who want to pay for stuff like this with gold.
It is. And that's gonna send us into the wind down section. We have many folks who'd like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website, coinconcede.com. You can find our contact info, our show notes, and our patron information. Support the show, patreon.com/coinconcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.coinconcede.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Write into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at coinconcede. Like, share, and follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/coinconcede. Like some swag, head over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. We're receiving requests in the chat to add CoinConcede berets. We don't have any right now. I will take that into advisement. Big thanks to our producers, Number Theory, Itinerant Wizard, Tony S, DogeDK, Proby1, Dr. Fish, Boop De Boop, Pat Tiggy, and Kresh. There are so many producers. I'm going to get a little sappy here. We have 99 patrons. 99. And we had to make a chat room for our producers because there are so many. My goodness, the support you all give our little show is incredible. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It helps a lot. You have no idea. It keeps us sane and keeps us healthy and helps us out. But the sub train today, 36 subs during today's show. I think that's a new record. Huge thanks to everyone that subbed. Zavaflave, Baximus, Electabuzz, Sharip, Baximus, 5 more gift subs. Proby1, 5 subs. Spine, DogeDK 11 gift subs, Craptasm 5 subs, Spiffy Fantastic 5 subs, and Wick Good for the raid. My goodness. Crazy. Thank you all so much for your support. You're great. We're definitely not in this for the money. We're in this for the community. But you all supporting us in this way is so incredibly generous, and we are blown away. All right, Bodikus, hit us.
Yeah, I just want to second that. This is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy to get on Twitch today and get all those subs. That's crazy. And I've also been watching, like, our numbers of people who watch the show live now has increased like 5 times. 5 times what we were getting before. So it's just really cool to get kind of all the support. But I want to do a quick coin concede to some old friends back in my WoW guild of Slightly Tilted. But been hanging back out in their Discord again and playing a bunch of Path of Exile with them. Been enjoying myself. So shout out to those guys, because it's fun to have a bit of community when I've been a bit isolated for the past quite a while. So it's been fun to chat with those guys again.
Shout out to Onigoroshi. Yes. Edelweiss, what about you?
I just remember. Oh my
Yes.
god. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I will reiterate as well. Just all the support is amazing. I think going from my stream earlier today to then the hype train here. My stream, it wasn't that I got subs or anything. It was just like watching the average increase over time as you start a real streaming schedule is really exciting. Even when there's I don't know, just having people in the chat is nice. So I feel very fortunate to have a higher starting point than if I were a nobody just beginning to stream. It's been nice to do 3 days a week. I just do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for now. And, I had told my work that I'm not going to be in person because with this new strain, and I'm going to be moving to Cleveland anyway, so I'll have to stop working for them. I kind of decided, having asthma, I don't want to put myself at the risk of going to work in person again once they reopen stores, which they're trying to find a way to do. So the support really does help me quite a bit. Like my wife takes care of most of what we need, but all the supplemental income from different streams really helps a lot for me. So thank you all so much, and hopefully I get to see some of you in chat.
I found a website for bulk personalized berets. Edelweiss is going to be your project now. If we buy 100, they're $6 each.
Okay.
They have so many
What have I
colors.
done?
Look at these colors. I'm going to send these to you. They're called romantic French berets. I think this is perfect. Just going to paste that link. All right. Note, patrons and live listeners, this is not a binding contractual agreement. We make no commitment to making or selling coin concede berets. And finally, my coin concedes. The Angry Chicken. They had episode 400 the other day. 400. So I was on there along with all of their guests in the past year. They've been trying some new show formats. I've been lucky enough to be a consultant over there. And so hanging out with Joss and Garrett and Jonathan Vigil and Slissa and also Celestalon was just on the show for 2 hours. It felt like BlizzCon sort of thing where we all just got to hang out. It was the most social I've been with that many people in a long time this year, the past 12 months, and very enjoyable and good time. My wife, who is a burgeoning shoe painter, she painted her Animal Crossing sneakers and posted them on Reddit and got like 3,000 upvotes because she's really talented at that sort of thing. So, shout outs to her. Nice job, honey. And then Pixel Jam. They're the publishers of Nova Drift. And that game, again, it's in the show notes, $8 on Humble Bundle. Strongly recommended. I am not an influencer for them. They are not paying me. I am not sponsored. But I bought the game and I played it a bunch and I tweeted about it. And I tagged a friend of mine, Jawless Paul, who's a Hades streamer. And the publisher was just like, hey, you want some stream keys to give out? Let me know. And he just sent me some stream keys. Just like randomly. Really nice. And I thanked them and we talked for a little bit. And it's just, I don't know why they did it, but thank you, Pixel Jam. Appreciate it. And Nova Drift's really fun. You should play it. This is not a sponsored thing. I just want to play more of the game. I had a really good run right before the show. I'm going to go back and do another one. So, keep calm and make your bets. The race is about to start. No, I can do better than that. I want to do like a racer pun, but we got to do something. What are we doing? No. Take your bet, or no. Keep calm and boost your poisons. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
I need an off to the races. Like I need like the with the trumpet and all that. I need a bumper. Thank you everyone
I
for
was
tuning
hoping
in.
you were gonna do another Super Troopers reference. We could have figured out another one.
Could have.
Keep calm, and the schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
Keep calm and do you know how fast you were going?
That
Fast,
would have been so
Yeah.
good.
Oh,
It's
that would have been
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to use that one.
Okay. So keep calm and do you know how fast you were going? And if you see us on ladder, coin concede. What a great movie.
Concede.
I'm gonna go watch that
Yeah.
movie while I play Nova Drift.
Maybe I'll watch that movie while I play more Hearthstone stuff.
Yeah. I wish I could play Hearthstone and Nova Drift at the same time, but unfortunately I can't. Anyways, thank you so much, stream. Thank you so much for the hype train. You're awesome. You're all great. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Good night, everyone.